Hello. This is Rockin the Love, and I am Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we are happy to be with you this Wednesday. Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is for you. Welcome.
Whatever part of the world you're in, and howdy, Wayne. Good to see you out there. So good to be here. What a great day it is. I'm very excited about our having a little
I,
sneak snack.
I snuck a snack.
That was so not sneaking. Oh dear God, have I taught you nothing about being camera ready? All right. Well, if everyone has a sneak snack there, join in. Apparently, we're having snacks. Okay, back to focus. So I'm very excited today about our guest, Bonnie Morgan Gonzalez. Bonnie Gonzalez, if you didn't see her on our show last year, um, and if you haven't seen her on her very own show right here on New Thought Media Network, then you're in for a treat. And we're so excited to have her. She is a grief doula. And um, and I'm very excited today. We're going to talk about grief as a new beginning.
That's an interesting concept.
It is, but I think that's kind of where we left off last time, right? With
Mm.
grief is more than just death and dying, and so really, what does it mean and what do you do with it and how do you take it into the newness that it can become, right?
Yeah, how do you allow it's for me anyway, it's something about how do you allow the old to fall away and the new to come forth.
There you go. So we will work on that and see that. And hi, John. Welcome. John says he's ready. He's yeah. We're all ready. We're all ready to let whatever we're grieving. God knows we. Oh, I don't want to get started right now. There's plenty. So first of all, I just want to say welcome. I also want to send out a special prayer right here and right now for two of our very good friends. Teresa Gardner and Elena Hutchinson, who are taking their final oral panels to become this REV thing that y'all want to do. So I'm sending.
What's that? They're becoming RVs. What's that?
Okay.
So they're taking their ministerial panels. Is that what they're taking?
Yeah, they're taking their ministerial panels. Can you not act like you're only in the room with me? Can you act like other people that you might want to impress or at least have them tune back in?
Okay.
Oh dear God.
Hi everybody.
Okay. All right. So okay, John says it's fun though. All right, we're having fun. So join into the fun. So what I want to know is, how was your week?
My week has been pretty good. I've got what's the last day of the month. I got several things to finish today. And it's just been continually moving. I got out on my bicycle for about 20 minutes the other day, which was very exciting. So that was good. Yeah, it's unseasonably warm here in Albuquerque. So
What does that mean? Like 50s?
Yeah, we get up to the high 50s, which is nice. And at night it just hits around freezing. It doesn't drop below too much, so that's good.
That is good.
Yeah, haven't been burning the gas quite as much to keep the house warm, so it's a good thing. How about you? How's your week?
My week is good. It's been a pretty good week. My biggest accomplishment of the week is that after 2 years of trying to get into my hacked Facebook account, I have succeeded. I'm back, Facebook. Yeah, it's so crazy because it's like, it's not even that I really wanted to be back, but I felt like I needed to be back in order to to do certain things, and it's fascinating because like I feel like I don't know what I'm doing there, and yet I can't tear myself away from it, which is always the joy of social media. So anyway, so that was great to get back into Facebook, and man, it took some real determination though, because people kept trying to tell me my account was gone, and I was like, no, it's not, because I kept getting notices from it. So it's interesting. So
Wow.
that's my
I just
business.
can't believe you got back in it. That's just,
Right? We
with all the
tried.
rigmarole.
We tried, and we tried with several people more knowledgeable about those things than us, and all of those good things, and nothing. But it's done. I'm in, and it's just crazy. Anyway, that was a good thing, and I'm wearing I decided I was going to save it till next week, but I decided to wear my official almost spring training outfit
Oh, I see.
because spring training starts in February, and I'm
Okay.
excited about that. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. I know. I should wait till get through the Super Bowl, but I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about the Super Bowl. Actually, I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl.
All right. Well,
So that's my week.
all
And,
right.
I actively, well, part of getting the Facebook back was part of because I actively am looking for some kind of job, work, income, finances. I'm available if anyone wants to hire me to
Free
do it.
gifts, whatever works.
No, but in today's world, it's like you've got to have all your social media up. I was like, they're going to go to my Facebook, and I haven't posted since 2022. So anyway, but I'm back.
Well,
So
I find it interesting that whoever stole it from you decided it wasn't worth hanging on to. I don't understand that. They just let it go. That's right.
yeah, I don't think it really works that way, but that's not the show today. So
I still have one of those hanging out there too. So, yeah.
all right. So other than my Facebook, tell me the good news of the week.
The good news. So, um, it is that time of year, that ski season, the time to go out and play in the snow and have fun. And apparently, a couple of snowboarders were at Palisades, which is the former Squaw Valley in Tahoe, and they went up one of the lifts that goes up to one of the big uh, high places, and they were a little surprised that the lift was open because they thought, it might not be because of conditions, etc. By the time they got to the top, though, it was basically white out. And as they were trying to start down the hill, people on the lift were yelling at them because there was an avalanche coming.
Mm.
And they actually got caught in it and were able to ride it like a water slide is the way they described it for a ways down the mountain, and then ultimately stopped and in such a position that they could dig themselves out because they were under the snow, but they were able to dig out. And as soon as they got out, they realized there were a couple of skiers right near them who were not able to get out, and they were able to out as well.
Wow.
And so they ended up being the first responders on the scene for those folks as well. I mean, nature's powerful and harsh, and again, apparently, if you roll with the punches right, sometimes you can come out okay. And people are willing to stick their necks out for other people, even when they don't know them, because they had no idea who these other people were.
Right.
They just started digging when they realized there was somebody there. So
that's amazing. That's great.
But I've read several articles this year about avalanches in that area. So it's interesting around Tahoe. Yeah. But good to know that these folks are out there and they're willing to jump in and help out. So there you go.
It is good to know. Good to know. Good people. Well, I wanted something that was somewhat relative to our guest. And so I found this article about, uh, you know how like dopamines are the chemical that, drive you to seek out intimacy and everything from, water to intimacy to whatever you want. Dopamine is that driving force that leaves an imprint on your brain and things. And so they were studying the role of oxytocin, which is known as the love hormone. And it's been studied in the context of human and animals a lot. And it's like the dopamine. It's the reward hormone that's responsible for why you want to be with some people more than others. And so they did this study on prairie voles. And that's a prairie vole, for those who don't know, because I didn't know. It's a small rodent, but it's one that mates for life. And so scientists at the University of Colorado found that dopamine is also responsible for these little animals to want to be with their bonded partner. And so they did this study, and they did this study where they took these animals. It actually sounds a little cruel, but they took these animals and separated them and gave them, like a study. They did a study of like there were like these tiny fiber optic tests in order for them to get back to their partner. And they did it in one experiment. They had their partner separated by a gate where the vole could get through if she pulled the lever. And in another experiment, they were separated by a fence. And they would do it. They would go through and they would get back to their partner's side. They scaled the fence to get to the partner. And they had one where the light would light up, and when she did it, scale the thing, it should light up, and then she'd go over and snuggle with her partner. And then they did another one where they'd have a stranger on the other side of the fence, and the dopamine would get dim, and the vole didn't work nearly as hard to reach the other stranger. And in another trial, they took the pair that was bonded and they separated them for 4 weeks, which, while it was difficult, and it would be difficult for human lovers to it was an eternity in vole time to be apart for 4 weeks. And the chemical signaling of dopamine after that event, they noticed that their brains would start to protect their reproductive potential and from endless loss or unrequited love. And so what it was showing after all that was that after the 4 weeks, they were not as apt to go back to each other. And so for this particular study, it was showing that it is possible to have a reset after a loss, that with time and with space, and when you're going through a subject and they say time heals all wounds kind of thing, they're saying that chemically speaking, that could be very true. And that it's possible that, that kind of loss will fade away. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't think it was so good for me and you. I was like, wait a minute, we've been apart a long time. What if he resets? So so in that terms, I thought, oh, that's a problem. But I thought it was interesting.
It is very interesting. Very interesting.
It'll
That's
be
a
interesting to hear what Bonnie thinks about that. I don't know what I think about that. I certainly think time shifts things, but I don't know. But and if you and for those of you out there that have an opinion, why don't you put it in the chat? And when we come back, we'll be able to talk to our expert about it. What don't you think that's the right thing to do, Gil?
I think it is. I think it is.
All right.
Let's take our break.
Okay, now is the time to eat your snacks, everyone.
All right.
All right, and we'll see you right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
It was a treat. It was a bonding. It was a celebration of men. It was a celebration of men who want to deepen in their spiritual awareness of one another, of themselves.
Welcome. We are a brotherhood of spiritually minded and open-hearted positive men. We invite you to join us.
And I came in knowing one person. I left knowing all of the group. And I feel like I came in knowing meeting strangers, but knowing and leaving brothers.
Come experience the New Thought Men's Gathering, Foundations 2024. Friday, March 15th through Sunday, March 17th. With Reverend Robert Brzezinski, Reverend Patrick Creelman, Reverend Eamon Duffy, and special guest musician Jamie Lula. In Vernonia, Oregon, at Camp Cedar Ridge. Learn more and register at www.newthoughtmens.community.
Hello there, this is Reverend Michael Mangus, and I'm one of the staff ministers here at New Thought Media Network. Thank you for joining us today for Rocking the Love. Well, during this time, Reverend Dr. Robert and Laura, and also our team, are over in Kenya representing us. And I thought that we would take this opportunity to do some special fundraising for the network. And again, it's not that we need the money, it's that we would like you to partner with us to take this powerful message to the world. And so if you could at this time, give us a very special one-time gift, or what you can do is become a monthly partner. Our hosts here on the network are all monthly partners of this wonderful ministry. However, that their gift does not cover all of our bandwidth, all of our production costs, and other things. So if you could please help us spread the message by going to ntmedia.org/donate. and again, give a very special one-time gift, or again, partner with us. As little as $5 a month makes a huge difference in taking this message to the world. And again, on behalf of all of us here at the New Thought Media Network, we want to thank you so very much. And now, back to Rockin the Love.
And we're back. This is Rockin the Love, and I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil. And we are grateful you're with us as well. And we're excited to move into our theme of the day.
We are, but before we do that, I want to thank everyone out there that is a donor. And especially, I know we have some monthly donors out there. I know John is a monthly donor, and I don't know who else is out there, but I am so grateful for all that you do and all that means to the station. And so, as Michael said, producer Michael, if even as low as $5 a month could make a difference. And just it's as if you're buying a latte, right? So buy one for us. All right. Now to our guest. Da, 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 da.
What's our theme today?
Grief is a new beginning.
Grief is a new beginning, and our guest is Bonnie Gonzalez, your doula for grief. And there she is, bright and shining.
Hello, my friends. I am all prepared to rock the love. I've got my heart right here.
All right.
I saw that Wayne put in the chat, white heart. So I've got this multifaceted heart. So thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be here. I really am. I've looked forward to it. And to those that are watching, I know I look a lot older than Reverend Gil and Robyn, but they really are my parents. They birthed your child for grief. They birthed me. They gave birth to me, so they have to take responsibility for me now. But no, I just love them. Love both of them. It's just like being with family. So I'm just super excited. I'm like a kid that has come home from the holiday that has come home from college to be with mom and dad. So thank you for having me.
Well,
We're glad you're here. We're
Yeah.
glad you're here. And we know
Yes.
that you do some incredible, you do some really good work around helping people understand grief and what it is and what happens with it. And interestingly enough, the theme throughout Centers for Spiritual Living this last month has been about a new day and a new beginning and that whole concept. And it seems like, there's the thought that can happen with certain things, but it doesn't happen with other things. And I think you're here to challenge that concept a little bit and suggest that perhaps,
just a weeny bit, just a weeny bit. Rev Gil, I feel that my work in the world right now, and my passion too, is to help people understand grief. I think I said this on the last show that grief got a bad rap. Just want us to start to see grief for the superpower that it holds. And it definitely is a human experience that really. And a little bit before we started, I talked about this being on today and getting people to understand that grief is not always about a death. It's not always about a death. So I think if we can start to shift our focus away from it being about death to it really being about a loss. And of course, yes, death is the biggest loss, the biggest challenge that we will experience as humans. I take my hat off to that. I give it its place of honor. But we suffer a myriad of other losses that happens. Oh, there's a website that's there. Yes, thank you. Other losses. For instance, I was with some friends. I was doing a vision board on Sunday with some new people. I don't know. I didn't know them. But the woman that was sitting beside me started talking about, oh, she was supposed to have been getting married last week, but the wedding got called off the day before. And she was truly feeling misplaced, didn't know where to go. She was still in that, what I call deer in the headlight look. Or phase of being in grief, where you're just totally in shock, like her world had been truly turned upside down. And then she was saying, well, I'm just moving my things out of the house that we shared. And she was saying, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life at this point. And that's what I wanted to bring home with grief as a new beginning. That when we have those kind of losses, it is a point. It takes you to that point of, wow, what do I want to do now? Or where am I going to go now? Or I am just so numb, I can't think about where I want to go. And so with that, and I could talk a lot about this, but I'll give you a chance to, is there a question or anything that you wanted to bring in before I continue?
Well, it sounds like you're really talking about a new point of inquiry. You're talking about kind of going beyond what we know, or what
Right.
in some ways we're so on autopilot, having watched our family or the world or whatever deal with grief, that we have these steps, and it's really it's so much more than that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I was going to say, I love that you say it is about self-inquiry, but that self-inquiry has been caused by an event that you hadn't planned to take this journey into self-inquiry. That wasn't a part of the plan, that had happened because of this loss. Right. So turning a loss into an opportunity, and not to do any kind of spiritual bypass at all, but just to realize that when you have a loss, that is an opportunity. Robyn, I love what you're saying about self-inquiry.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't say self. I said,
you did. Inquiry.
I said, it's okay. But I said a different point of inquiry. And I think that is one of the points, though. I mean, I think different ways to go in,
Yeah, different.
That's perfect.
Different
so
avenues.
The question was asked, when in grief and change, how can one make good decisions?
Oh, I love your question. I love that. How can one make good decisions? And I was going to go down this line of thinking, because I've said, you're saying, oh my gosh, what do I do? Where am I now? It's like it has to start with taking a pause. When I have coaching clients, and I want them to understand that you have to make space to be able to decide what to do. And how can we make space if we're continuing our daily patterns of doing whatever it is, going to work, caring for, our loved ones, that I offer people to find, if it's just 5 minutes every day, to be quiet and to be still, to even get in touch with yourself, to just sit for just a few minutes of just in silence, stillness. And I know it's so difficult for people to do that. And that's why I always say baby steps. If you can do it for 2 minutes today, 3 minutes the next day, by Friday, maybe 5 minutes, but 5 minutes of just being still, just being quiet, to hear what's there, to hear what your thoughts are, and treating yourself very, very gently during this time. No beating up on yourself, doing what you can do. But if you want to know what's the next steps, we have the question. If we have the question, we also have the answer inside. We also have the answer. And I've said this before that, having friends and people that we can talk to, or, groups or group therapy, psychotherapy, coaching, counseling, those are other ways of being able to get in touch with what we're feeling. But the biggest thing is just getting quiet and being in stillness. And everybody is so different. I had a couple clients that say, oh, I just can't get quiet and still and go within like that. That's just not me. Reverend Gil talked about his bike ride. That could be his time of going in for stillness. I had another that I just said, okay, you love to walk, or he was jogging. Oh no, I don't think you can say jog anymore. That's not correct. Oh, running. Someone said you don't jog. The only thing you do is jog your memory. So that's why I said, and I asked him, okay, for 1 week, can you not run? Can you walk? Can you do a walking meditation where you do it with mindfulness, where each foot, you're aware of how your feet are touching the ground. And I say, just imagine with each step that your foot is being kissed by the earth, connecting back into the earth, connecting back into ourselves and being grounded. So there are ways that one can go within. There's no one size fits all. We're such beautiful, unique creatures that what works for one doesn't work for everyone. So honoring your uniqueness is another way.
I have a question, and that is, how do we recognize that we're dealing with grief? Because my sense is that most of us are not even aware that that's what's happening.
Thank you for that. And that is a wonderful question, because I myself was in just deep, deep grief and did not even recognize that. I didn't recognize that until I was a distance away from it. I called it a dark night of the soul. And so what I say to people, if you don't, I love that you're asking that, because most people have a sense of this. I just don't feel like myself. I just don't feel like myself, I don't want to do X, Y, and Z anymore, or that no longer brings me joy. My favorite program, I could care less about it. So just noticing how you're feeling, and even now starting that, some practice that you can be still and go within on a daily basis.
So how do we find then, like, where that grief is coming from? Like, we need to be aware of what causes that sense of loss in us that moves us towards grief.
Can I just back up a little bit? I don't want to back up too much, but when I talked about losses, when I talked about loss, that it doesn't have to, it's not always a death. But if we're talking about losses, geographical moves, health, relationships that end, jobs that end, we're talking about like accumulative griefs. And you start to think, wow, well, what's going on? You start to think, what's going on here? I haven't felt like myself since, maybe 6 months ago. Start going back and thinking, what was going on 6 months ago? How many losses have you had that you have not grieved? How many losses? And you don't even, sometimes, well, I'll use myself, I'll keep it in the eye. During 2020, I had so many losses. I lost my brother in February. I had a big geographical move in September, moving from the Bay Area to Europe. And that was like so many tiny losses within that big loss. And then I lost my sister like a few months later. It was like I just had this cumulative, I just kept getting all these hits, these cumulative events, these events of losses that I really didn't have time to grieve them. And I must say that every loss has to be grieved. That's just the way it is. And some losses are like, I had a guest on Monday, and the equivalent of a deep sea diver going down with the headlight, because it's so deep that some of our losses get kind of buried so deeply. But just like that ocean, they will eventually rise up. And that's what may catch you off guard. Like, well, I don't know why, why am I feeling like this? I just got a brand new car. I've got the job that I've always wanted. But is there some loss that you did not grieve or mourn that is coming up?
Brings up a really good point. What about the loss that occurs when we give up our old car to get the new car?
Yes, you still grieve. Yes. Your old Betsy was always reliable and chugged right along.
Yeah.
And you know what is helpful, and we'll have to do some other show around this, especially when you have that loss, you gave up the old car to get the new car, or you got the new job of your dreams, but you had to leave the other job behind. And that family and that whatever was in there, whatever energy was in that mix gets left behind. And this is where it is just about simple awareness to say, I am so, I called my own car Brown Betty. I really miss Brown Betty. I was sad when the guy brought me the new car and I see him driving Brown Betty away. It's like, oh, Brown Betty, thank you. You were with me for 14 years and Brown Betty. So I did a little ritually thing around it to honor Brown Betty as she went on to her next greatest and best to be. But
true.
Yes. But I really feel that it is okay to say that you're sad around something. It is okay. Most of us feel like, what is it that people tell me so much? I hear so much. Oh, but you're so lucky. You get to travel and live over here. Oh, you're so lucky. And when I try to say, but I miss my friendships that I had in the Bay Area. I'd love to my friends there. Oh, but you're wherever and it's more exotic. You really need to have that support of somebody just saying, and I'll put this out there now. If you're the person that's listening to someone, just listen. Just say, wow. I'm thinking that it must be great, but thanks for sharing that this must be hard. Oh, yes, this is hard. I can understand that. So being honest with what you feel. I always say that grief needs to be heard. Grief needs to be validated, and it needs to be shared.
So I'm curious about that. I'm just curious about how does that work with kids? They can't always express all of that, we have our teenagers that moved, and they can talk about, I wish I was in Oakland, or I wish this, but they can't really express in the same way maybe that I could. A different spectrum. And I'm curious, like on those days or those times where you don't know exactly what you're grieving or why you're sad or what's going on. Like how, what do you do then?
I'm going to say it this way. Kids learn how to grieve from us. You can believe they are watching. They are listening to what you're saying. They're watching your behavior. I say with that, the best place to talk with your kids, especially teenagers, the best place I've found and can recommend is in the car. When you're driving them to or from or here or there, there's truly no other distraction. But now we have cell phones, right? That can be a distraction. But just offering a space or place to say how you're feeling, offering it in a space of not at the baseball game. Oh, I'm feeling really down right now. You know, I really enjoyed those baseball games back in Oakland. Offering how you're feeling when you both are in a space that is conducive to being heard and to having it received by them, and leaving a space for responding. Leaving a space for response and not trying to make it, at the dinner hour, because some children are more, as you both know, more reserved than children are just like us, multifaceted, different personalities, and your child. This child will be better under this circumstance or under another circumstance. Just two differences. But I say, just remember, they are learning from you. They are learning from you how to grieve. And if you're being honest with how you're feeling, versus so many times I know as a parent, I wanted to put on a happy face. It was already stressful enough. Did they need to see me being unhappy and sad about whatever decision when I left the East Coast to come to the West Coast and divorce and all that? Did I really want to burden them with my being down, or did I wanted to just say, wow, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm kind of down. I'm really kind of down. And just saying what you're feeling then gives them the permission to say, yeah, I hear you. I feel you. I know what you're saying. Or they may say something totally different. And I know both of you really encourage dialogue in saying, tell me more about that. I'm curious when you said X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So I hope that helps. The children, smaller children, younger children, that's a little bit of a different approach. But the approach with them is that notice how they live in the moment. Answer their questions about loss and sadness. Answer their questions. Keep it simple. And if they're playing, their type of emotions come up more in the moment, more in play. So being just a little bit more aware and listening and like, oh, did I hear? And whatever. So anyway, I hope that helps. And children and grief, it's truly a specialty. But so much truth comes from children.
Oh, yeah.
Children and they have no other, they don't have the filters that we have. They haven't developed that ability to suppress what they're feeling. So they're more likely to be just honest, where we've learned how, oh, no, I better keep that in.
Right.
So we start off with the premise that grief is a new beginning. And in some ways we've talked about how even the new beginning can spawn grief. So, I mean,
yes.
So what is it, after we take that time to be, to allow the grief to flow through us, how do we allow it to propel us forward? How do we allow it to become the springboard to that new beginning?
Right. Thank you. And I just want to say this, you just brought up another point, that it's, people have the impression that once you grieve something, okay, that's done. It's tucked away. It's put in a nice little suitcase and or put in a box and put up on the shelf. No, grief is always with us. It's about learning in life to move forward with that grief. Saying, for instance, just saying, wow, I'm in a new place. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. How am I going to navigate this? What's going to happen? Even though I'm like, I made this decision to be here. And I'll use my own example. I moved to Mexico. I didn't know anybody. I bought a one-way ticket. I had not been here before. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I'm missing my old life. How can I have some joy here? What can I do? And I went out and bought a little tablet and a pen, and not using my cell phone, but I brought a tablet and friend. And when I met people, I would just say, I'm new here. Do you mind if I have your name and number that I could call, in case I need some information or just as a resource? And people were so responsive and so understanding that after 2 months we were here. We had like a little dinner party. A couple people that came that said, I've been living here for 3 years and you've met more people than I have in 3 years. So looking at your life, deciding what it is for you that's important. It was important for me when I moved here that I had connection. And so that's how I built my moving forward or being propelled, as you said, to move forward with making that connection. And then from connection to other things, Tito is a musician. And so his was looking for people that could help with music. And before you know it, we both felt a little bit, not just a little bit, we both felt grounded and centered within ourselves, that then we could say, okay, what more do we need? Or do we need any more? Are we content right now? So
go ahead. So I hear that one of the steps to using grief as a new beginning is connection, is reconnect.
That was important for me. Yes.
So what would you say? What would you, if you were giving like the 3 most important steps to, letting go and moving forward, what would that be?
I think we touched on this a little bit before the show, but the first step is making you number one. You are the number one priority here. You are the master of this ship. You have what it takes to go within and determine what is best for you right now. Not even maybe what is best, but what is your desire right now? Is a desire to have just a new experience. I was saying a new experience, like skydiving. I've never been skydiving before. What do I want to experience? What do I want to draw in right now? What energies do I need right now? What energy do I want to draw in? Knowing that connecting with you inside, like I said, you have the questions and you have the answers. Going inside. And if you can't do that, if that is just too hard, that's when you start looking around, as I said, for group support, professional therapy. How about friendships? Utilizing that. Utilizing friends. Because we truly are social creatures. And even people that are, let's say they're introverts, will say, yeah, I don't need a lot of friends, but sometimes I need to be around other activities. I think they call that in children, it's called parallel play. When they're toddlers, maybe 2 or 3 years old, they will go, you can take them to the playground, but they won't play with other children, but they'll play near the other children, watching the other children. And that gives them great satisfaction. They call that they played. They didn't play with the others, but it was parallel play. And sometimes that, with people that are in grief, can be a solstice and a way of saying, helping you identify what it is that you do want.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, I had a question
Mhm.
and it went out of my head.
I'll put up my heart. Maybe I'll bring it back.
So I know,
Um,
well, I know you're doing a lot of work out in the world, and of course, we want to let people know where they can get in touch with you. And
yes,
maybe you can talk a little bit about what you have coming up
yes.
for people.
I have. I've been here in Chapala, but then I was back in the U.S. and had so many people that were saying, "Oh, how can I work with you? How one-on-one, or do you have groups?" And so I am starting a grief support group. It's April 16th, and it's going to be 11 a.m. Central Time. So that's 9 for Pacific Coast Time. Yeah, PT time. And yes, and that's my website. You can you can connect with me through my website. And also, we are having, if you're local, contact me. I'm having a local event here the 1st of May that we'll do some healing with soul collage. So that'll be the 1st of May that we have that. So I so appreciate your asking, Robyn. And one other thing I wanted to say before, I know we're at time, but I just wanted to say this about grief, this about going within, that just remember the more, if you want to put it this way, the more disconnected maybe you, disconnection is what you're feeling, a really sadness or despair, that the more intensely you feel that, I want to offer you this, that is the turning point. That is the turning point. That's when we start to say, what can I do to get out of this? Where can I go? Knowing that there's a Buddhist parable that does say that the darker the night, the nearer the dawn. The colder the winter, the nearer the spring. Because when you get to that place, sometimes, as Robyn and Gil had asked, what can you use as, how can you use grief as a springboard? Grieving in that way in itself is a springboard, that you're at this level, that you know you do not have the desire to continue to be there. And if you have, I just keep saying this repeatedly, and I know it's so difficult for people to do this, to reach out for help, to reach out to family, friends, and loved ones, or loved ones can be family and friends, but reaching out, because there is this stigma that's attached to being in that place of being sad, depressed. There's a stigma, but what I'm doing with my work, it's helping to remove that stigma. And you can help me remove it as well by starting to vocalize or verbalize it in whatever way you can. Baby steps, but doing something, taking a step.
Yeah, taking a step. And I would say, I would just add to that, and you can tell me if you disagree, but I would just add to that by saying, when you reach out to family or friends or loved ones or whoever, there's that, to make sure they're supportive.
Oh.
Because you don't want someone to keep you stuck in your story, or that isn't nurturing, or you want somebody is really a space for you to be able to be. So.
Yeah.
So while we're saying share, you should be wise in your sharing as well.
Yes, selective sharing, selective sharing. And what I wanted to say is, let's not leave out our spiritual practice. Let's not leave out our spiritual practice, not using our spiritual practices to help suppress things, but using our spiritual practice to say, oh, I have support. I'm not alone. Divine Holy Spirit, you're welcome here. Come fill this atmosphere. Know that you're not alone. Falling into your spiritual practice. Why have a spiritual practice if you don't use it in the darkest hour? And knowing that just because you have a spiritual practice does not mean that the roller coaster won't take a wild dip down. Yes, you can ride high, but it's going to dip. And so don't, I don't want to proselytize in that way, but not beating yourself up saying that, oh, I'm not practicing hard enough, or I'm not believing hard enough, or my faith isn't strong enough because I find myself in this valley.
And just like that, our guest, Bonnie Gonzalez, has found a reason for us to invite her back, because there's so much more to talk about as we unfold this thing called grief. And as we set our intention to let it go and to work through it and to let it inform us and to take us to new places and all that good stuff. So we thank you so much for this invitation.
Thank you. Yes, grief is our friend. Let's remember it, that grief is our friend, that when it shows up, it's a friend that wants to give you a sweet message, that there's a message there in it.
There you go. It's all about recalibrating that energetic and that thought process, right, of what we think it is.
Yeah.
So we just invite you to allow grief to be your friend. And we thank you for letting us be your friend. And we thank you, Bonnie, for joining us today. And we thank our producer for showing up every week in the magnificent way that he does. And we're just sending blessings to everyone that's over traveling in Kenya. And, you know, we're all out there rocking the love in our own way. So that's what we're asking. That's what we're suggesting, is that you take it and you rock the love out in the world this week, everybody.
And I just say, make this year about you. Make this the year of you. Start that right now. Make this the year of you. There's nobody else that deserves it more or is worthy of it, more worthy than you, of having this be the special year. Thank you.
So take the love and rock it, everybody. It's about you. Love you and see you next week.
Ciao.
Bye.